Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood, and I'm here to review the Child's Play remake. Would I classify this as a remake? No. No. And here's my problem with movies, too, that use the same label as the previous, as their predecessor. Stop it. Just stop. Think of a different fucking title. Because, literally, some movies just should not be branded remakes. Okay, Rob Zombie's 2007 Halloween should not have been branded a remake because it wasn't in many ways. I don't like the movie, but it wasn't a remake. Um, this movie, Child's Play, it wasn't a remake. John Carpenter's The Thing, even though he says it's a remake, in a lot of ways, it's not a remake of what that film was. It's its own version. And I mean, that's what a remake should be, yes. I've always said that. A remake should be literally its own version. But a lot of the reason a movie gets called a remake going off of an original version is because they use the similar title or the exact same title. So I guess that's my biggest gripe with most remakes. It's just like they use the title, the same title that's been used. I mean, and to be fair to them, that's what the product's recognized as. It's just like how the movie. It's like Halloween. Like what else do you call it? But I mean, Child's Play. I feel you could come up with a different name. I mean, I get the name Chucky's being used in the other franchise. Well, why not just call it Buddy? Call it Buddy Doll or something. I don't know, but no, that's not my complaint of this. It's just more my complaint of remakes just not being more creative with their titles. And I think I've said that before in a previous video. What are my dislikes about this movie? Because I gave it a 5.5. And I usually don't rate stuff that low. I haven't rated something that low in a long time. Number one, first and foremost, the start of this movie, leading up to this whole thing, we're told the doll's going to get hacked. So my mindset is, okay, whatever you do, if this doll is honestly going to get hacked, don't reveal who the hacker is. Don't reveal who that is. I want suspense. That's See, this is why Alfred Hitchcock was so fucking good. He knew how to build suspense and keep you in suspense the whole fucking movie until the end of the movie, and then something was revealed and it was like, oh, holy shit. Now you get this remake, and number one, the doll isn't actually hacked. You have a assembly line worker who works for the company that you know has come up with the design for the dolls. You have the assembly line worker that is building the doll and assembling it at the factory and shipping it out. He's not hacking the doll, he's programming the doll to go bad. And there's a big difference between hacking and, well, programming the doll to go bad. So he removes all the doll safety features because his boss smacks him around. I wish they would not have done this. This is one of my hugest gripes about this movie, and there's others to come. Again, suspense. Give me some goddamn suspense, and don't show how this doll, who I'd rather somebody actually hack the goddamn doll from a distance and do something sinister. To me, if I would have done one thing different for this movie to be better, in my opinion, it'd have been a thief had robbed a bank and he hid the jewelry somewhere, and where he hid, it became apartment buildings lo and behold, Andy and his mother are living in the apartment building, the apartment buildings they got built. So, and this thief is good at hacking, good with computers. So it hacks the doll Andy buys and turns it psychotic. He's controlling this. This thief is controlling this doll, and these people are getting in his goddamn way. To me, but you never know. Again, you don't know that until the end of the movie. You wouldn't have known that. And again, I'd rather not know who's control what's going on with this doll completely. I feel that revealed too soon. It's like, really, all somebody has done is turn off the safety features for this incredibly smart doll, and then this same son of a bitch that does that offs himself. He commits suicide, and I'm thinking, so they took one of the most interesting aspects of this movie, a guy who's literally that pissed off to hack to turn off the doll's safety features, basically, to program it to go bad, now kills himself. And it's like, well, there goes my interest. Because I'm going, you could have done more with that. You could have done more with that guy. He could have somehow got a job at another factory and hacked other dolls. Or not hacked, programmed other dolls to go bad. Which Chucky does that later on in the movie. I'm going to get into that. That part I liked, actually. But that when that guy offs himself, I'm going, okay, so he programs the doll to go bad, and then he kills himself, and that's it. That's all we. It's like, really. Some of these horror movies, it's like they don't want to develop a character. They don't want to take a character they introduce right away that they don't feel an audience will be appealed to, and they don't want to even fucking try to develop that character. I wish they would have developed that character and told you a story out of him as well as the doll. They told the story of the doll, like, right off the bat. Excuse me. So they told the story of the doll right off the bat. He got programmed to go bad. So there's where you're introduced to Andy's mother, who works at a Walmart type store. It's not called Walmart, but it's a Walmart type store, and they are getting returns of the many things. One thing is a doll, and the guy says about the doll's eyes being red. So instead of pitching this doll, she decides to keep it for her son as a birthday present for his, I think he's what, 16? 16 years, I thought maybe the kid would just be 12 or 13, but no. Fuck that. They make the kid 16 years old. You're gonna buy a 16-year-old kid a doll. I had a complaint with this originally until they actually do develop a fucking character, and they develop Andy in this. They actually did develop Andy, thank God. And they say, well, they hint to you that his dad is dead. And I actually love that scenario, or either dead or divorced. I'm going to presume dead. I actually love that because that tells you why the kid is the way he is. He's emotional. He's upset that his dad's gone and not in his life. And so they do build Andy actually very nicely in this movie. I gotta give them that. The mom in this movie, here's the thing. She's so young looking. She's almost too young to be a mom. At first I thought they might say it was his sister, but no, that's his mom. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, the actress did a great job. I feel the boy who played Andy, and the girl who played his mom did a great job. The acting in this is good. It's the story I have a problem with. Now, so Andy gets this messed up doll, and he says, I'm Andy, and they know the doll. She says it's refurbished. That's an understated word. Um, refurbished, yeah, it's refurbished, all right. But what are you gonna? He says Han Solo, and the doll says the doll's so messed up from being messed with, programmed the wrong way. Chucky. I'm just like, really? That's how we're gonna come up with Chucky? Like, you know what I wish the kid would have said, which would have made sense. I wish he would have said Charles Bronson, because we all know Charles Bronson from Death Wish, the Death Wish movies. And some of us who are fans of Charles Bronson call him what? Chucky Bronson? Chuck Bronson. But, or like, he could have said Chuck Norris or some shit like that. But no, Han Solo. Oh, shit. Here's the thing. Some people have said that the doll picks up its behaviors from Andy. Here's my problem with that. No, actually, not really. The doll, and this is my problem with this movie. There are just some movies you shouldn't remake, and here's my core problem with it. Because the original concept was so good, and once you get from away from an original concept, but yet you're sort of not. The doll is robotic, and yes, it got programmed to go bad, but it's almost too human at times. And it's all, you might as well say there's a human soul in that doll. And that's sort of my problem. Even though it's not Charles Lee Ray, it's almost like it feels like Charles Lee Ray at times. And I'm going, because when the cat scratches Andy or bites Andy, I think, Chucky is choking the fucking cat. The Chucky gets pissed. So I'm going, okay, whether you're programmed to go bad or not, or safety protocols are off or not, you're that pissed that the cat scratched Andy. The cat didn't scratch the doll. The cat scratched Andy, which I get. The doll is caring about Andy, and again, more human emotion. This sort of felt like a lot like where Terminator in Terminator 2, the Terminator is a learning computer and is learning human emotion. Chucky is it's not Chucky is trying to understand human emotion and learn it, but it's again, it's almost like every science fiction cliche you've ever seen in a movie. And that's sort of my problem with this movie. That's where it lacks the originality in the story, because it sometimes I've said it's when you see a movie or it's when a movie gets made. Well, this movie to me treats like, well, no other science fiction movies have this. And actually, yeah, there's a good bit of fiction movies that have where a robot gives a shit, or a robot gives a shit and then goes bad. Hello, how is a great example, right? Come on, guys. And that's my biggest problem with this movie. It lacks the originality of its core story, because they just literally took every science fiction movie that involved the robot and just seemingly threw it in the stall. I give a lot of credit to Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill sold his ass off. Again, I take nothing away from the actors or the actresses. I just did not love this story because, again, it felt like every science fiction movie I've ever seen, or every science fiction cliche I've ever seen. So, and sometimes, again, when you're trying, I mean, what's the concept? A doll. A doll is going to be a killer. sometimes the original concept is just the best one. You know, a killer soul got trapped in a doll, because that literally is original and creepy as shit. I mean, it is. And again, I'm not hammering this movie for and comparing it to the original. I'm saying this movie, in a lot of ways, lacks originality because, okay, you're trying to tell me that there aren't other movies out there like yours, but actually there are. Again, 2001: A Space Odyssey. How is a computer that goes bad? You know, even the one robot from like Lost in Space was in a movie where Leslie Nielsen was in. The robot was sort of bad at first. So again, you know, those movies exist. I didn't make those movies up in my head. They exist out there. And when you're making a movie that is bringing those cliches right back to your face, it's like, okay, where's the originality in your idea here? Because I'm not seeing it, and I'm not. I mean, again, learning robot. Okay, see Terminator 2 or see 2001: A Space Odyssey, which how was a computer I get, but still, again, a lot of science fiction cliches in a science fiction movie, and that's just what it felt like. So that's why I give this movie a 5.5. Really, now I do want to touch upon. I do give them credit for having Chucky hack the other dolls because remember the other dolls, not just the dolls, but the device, a lot of the electronic devices, well, pretty much every electronic device was manufactured by the very same company the Buddy dolls were, and I think that's a lot of the reasons that a lot of the reason the Chucky doll was able to not only control the other devices but bypass this other safety protocols for the dolls in the toy store. That I'll give them. I'm not going to take that away from them. That actually did make sense to me. But as an overall plot and for originality, I just can't give it to him because it's not for me. And again, I've seen a lot of science fiction movies involving robots, so I give it a 5.5. If you want to check out the Child's Play movie, go right ahead. Let me know you guys' thoughts. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.